Hello and welcome to Bowl Game Review Part 2. Sorry if I sound dead. I'm really tired. And I just recorded a 15-minute video with my mic muted. So anyways, like and subscribe. That's pretty cool. Comment what your predictions are for our next bowl games. I'll respond. Let's get into it. All right, first off, we have Marshall versus UConn. I'm going to do my prediction first, then the review, the actual final score. So I said UConn was going to win this. My main reasoning was that both of these teams looked pretty even in their games. Both have good wins against certain teams. And ultimately, Marshall had better wins against better teams. And but I said this was going to be UConn's year. But it wasn't. Ultimately, UConn had a lot of turnovers, a lot of not completed fourth down conversions, and it led to their downfall. I really wish UConn could have done it because, I mean, think about it. They were so close to terminating their football program, and all of a sudden they're in a bowl game. Would have been so nice for them to win a bowl game. But ultimately, I should have given it to Marshall. I just didn't want to not go with my gut and then get it wrong and feel and hate myself. But I thought this was UConn's year to get something done. Who knows what UConn football has for us in the future? Hopefully they get better. Hopefully they don't just die. But Marshall ultimately had way better wins. I don't know what I was thinking comparing UConn to Marshall beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame. And Marshall has an overall better record. UConn's taken some pretty weird losses. Yeah, finals. Oh, whoops, that was the final score. So Liberty versus Toledo. I gave this one to Liberty a lot because Liberty was like an 8-1 team at a time. And they were doing really good. And they were beating good teams. They barely lost at Wake Forest by 1 point. They beat Arkansas. They did lose at UConn, but only by 3 points. And it's I look at Toledo. I'm like, you guys played kind of dog buns in your championship game. And ultimately, I just think Liberty's the better team. But the sad downfall of Liberty football kicked off at 8-1. I mean, I believe they were 8-1, and then they lost pretty much every game from there on, going from ranked in the top 25 to nowhere close at all, and losing an opportunity for a nice bowl game. Would have been really nice for the program to get a really nice bowl game. I believe they were good last year, really good. It would have been nice to have some good years in a row. But Toledo took it by 2 points. Close game. I mean, you can't really hate on them for it, but at the same time, with what they were versus what they are, you can. Baylor versus Air Force. Talk about another team. Just a sad downfall of Baylor football. I said they were going to kill it because, Big 12 versus Air Force. I don't know. I don't even know if Air Force is a independent or if they're Mountain West, or I don't even know. But if you look at what these teams played, how they played, you would be like, all right, Baylor's going to win this one easily. Incorrect. Baylor got slaughtered on the run game. Air Force had 270 yards on the ground. Baylor was 0 for 11 on third down conversions. It was just a shit show. It was 7-9 at the end of the first half. And then it was 7-30 by the end of the third or something, or into the fourth. They scored a touchdown, 2-point conversion at the very end to cut it to 15. And ultimately, this is your Big 12 championship winner last year. Winner, I think, of the Sugar Bowl. Kind of beat the crap out of Ole Miss. And Baylor just shit the bed this year. Just terribly shit the bed. It was a very sad downfall for this team. Disappointing. And I ultimately gave it to them by so much. They almost beat the number 3 team in the country. They played Oklahoma State good when they were really good. They played Texas good. They just didn't do bad in their conference. Even though they were 6-6, they weren't terrible. They played well, and they showed competition. Whereas Air Force beat teams like Colorado, Gardner-Webb, or something like that, and lost, or won by a lot. And it was just Baylor looks way better. Wake versus Missouri. I give this one to Missouri because Wake was really good for a while, but then they really collapsed, losing 3 games in a row. They got slaughtered by Louisville. They had 8 turnovers in that game. I think 4 interceptions, 4 fumbles. Then they lost at NC State. More difficult game, but again, I think they had a lot of turnovers in that game too. I think they had 4. Hold on, I could check here on my phone real quick. They looked very good at the start of the season. I thought they were going to be a college football playoff contender, but yeah, if we go over here to team stats, no, they had 3 turnovers and they were 2 for 4 on 4th down efficiency, whereas NC State didn't go for a single 4th down conversion and they didn't turn over the ball once. They still only won by 9 points. And Wake is just so inconsistent. Wake lost that game, and then they lost to North Carolina at Wake Forest. Wake Forest had only 1 turnover. They were 4 for 6 of 4th down efficiency. And UNC was 0 for 2. So, I mean, 2 giveaways by UNC and 3 giveaways by Wake. But they only won it by 2. They only won it by 2. They went up 3 with 2 minutes left, and Wake wasn't able to get it done. It's just North Carolina was a good team at a time, but can't lose that. And then they lost to Duke. I think this was also a turnover fest. No, it wasn't. Both teams had equal giveaways. Duke just had a lot more yards. Not really. It was a very close competition, and it was 453 yards for Wake Forest, 500 yards for Duke, and yeah, it came down to a last-second field goal. It came down to a last-second field goal. I think that's the exact same time. No, it is 8 seconds away from when North Carolina kicked their field goal to give them the lead. So, yeah, I mean, Wake Forest was a very good team this year. They just showed inconsistency, whereas Missouri almost beat teams like Georgia. They beat South Carolina pretty good on the road. They had really shitty games, shitty losses, but they're also a part of the SEC, and they played decent in their competition. I'm like, Missouri's able to get it done. Wake Forest gets it done. I should have respected Wake Forest more. Ultimately, Wake Forest was a much better team than anybody recognized this year. I mean, seriously. They might be, I think, 8-5. I believe they're 8-5, but this team should be like 11-1 going into their championship and winning. Like, they should be 11-1. I'm serious about this. They barely lost to Clemson. They beat Florida State. They got killed by Louisville in a turnover fest. Don't have 8 turnovers in that game. You're winning that game. Barely lost to NC State by 9 in a turnover fest again. Lost to North Carolina by a last-second field goal. Too many giveaways. Lost to Duke in a last-second field goal. Balanced game. Too many, it was ultimately the turnovers that really slaughtered Wake Forest this year. It was the turnovers, because if you don't have that many turnovers in that game, take away 1 and you literally win majority of those games, other than the Louisville one. But that is it for this review. I decided to not wait for the Wisconsin and Oklahoma State game because that leaves me with 5 games to do after Wednesday. Yeah. I should be able to make the video at like 9 on Wednesday. I don't think I worked that day, so it should be perfectly fine. But this one I left with 4. Sorry, I kind of ran through it. It is a little annoying to do a 15-minute video and figure out that you had your mic muted. It's just a little annoying. But that's all for me. Like and subscribe. It's pretty cool. Comment what your predictions are for our upcoming bowl games. Tell me what your predictions for these games were, whether you're right or wrong. Tell me I suck at predictions. I'll still respond. And that's all for me. Adios.